fan fiction featuring the original female character and Prince Caspian. Ira has been used to fighting all her life. An orphan who grew up on the streets of a cruel town will certainly acquire steel and sharp feathers. But one accident brings her to Narnia, a place where there is a chance to find happiness and a calm life. But there, too, problems overtake her. The White Sorceress was reborn. A strange portal appeared in Narnia, and Aslan weakened. Well, the steel swan will never lower its wings, and maybe, saving the world, she will find something that will save her. Narnia is a magical land. Once great kings and queens ruled there, but after their disappearance many years have passed and terrible times have come. Under the leadership of the evil King Miraz, the Telmarines began to attack the land of Narnia. Capturing the country, they confidently drove the indigenous people into the forests, where people died. But the Magic Kingdom has hope. The young Prince Caspian, the rulers of the Golden Age and the daughter of Aslan herself will be sent to help him. Let the story begin again. When you get an exceptional chance to touch magic and change your life, it's a sin not to take advantage of it. True, there is always a chance that luck will turn its back on you and everything will go awry. Fate villain is unfair. True love is born, and fighting is senseless and bitter. Its roots will sprout deep, but it will not give fruit, it will cool down, leaving only sorrow. A girl living with the Narnians from the moment she remembered herself. The prince that hid in the forests from his own people. What will happen next? Will those on whom the Narnians hope come? Sometimes, we all feel that we are not made for this world, that we are different. The characters of this fanfiction were given the opportunity to choose where they should stay. But this world must be defended, as always. Well, Narnia has always been a tasty morsel for everyone. She didn't know how it happened. It's just that at some point everything around was quiet. Just his eyes were very close. It was just that his lips were too hot. Just her heart sank in that magical moment when their lips touched. All this is too simple, but at the same time too complicated. After Lucy and Edmund left Narnia for only a year, An evil sorceress attacked Narnia and Aslan sent new kings and a king to Narnia, but one of the king is not quite human. The Pevensey family arrives at the camp, where great Aslan, an army and a young girl who grew up in Narnia await them. Who is she? And how did another daughter of Eve end up here? Have I dreamed of Narnia? Did she ever imagine what she was in reality? How colorful the colors of the fresh grass and cloudless sky in those parts are, and how beautiful Car Paravel, where my brothers and sisters spent not a single year wearing a crown and fulfilling a prophecy. Constantly. And in Telmar people are welcomed like this. Caspian pulled Edmund closer by his still clasped hands and pressed his lips first to one of his cheeks, and then to the other. Edmund drew in a sharp breath. A year after returning from the closet, the Pevensies again find themselves in Narnia, but in a completely different one. Edmund finds himself busy with a flirting prince. "3 o'clock in the morning. Children have been sleeping in their beds for a long time. Suddenly, the door quietly opens slightly, and someone entered the hall that replaced the bedroom. Slowly stepping with heavy steps, someone stopped near the bed, where a girl was sleeping very uneasy, already completely losing hope of finding a family. Lily, seemingly a child, though she lived 1,000 years, saw how kings succeeded each other, how death gave way to life. A warrior girl who has protected her people for centuries. Cold, calculating, brave. Nobody knows the real one. Will they find out? Aslan told Edmund that he no longer needed to return to Narnia, and he resigned himself to this, but the ancient evil has a completely different opinion. She found an opportunity to regain her body and power over Narnia, but for this she only needs one thing: King Edmund the Just. Fanfic action takes place after the movie, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. It was clear to Susan that Caspian had intended to court Edmund since his arrival at Car Paravel. She well remembered the official introduction of Caspian upon his arrival at their castle. And also remembered with what awe in the eyes of the Telmarine he looked at her brother. The king looked in love. * sequel to Are You Always So Challenging, Your Majesty? *. Well, let's imagine that not 4 immigrants from England participated in the battle with Miraz, but 5. Aslan himself chose her to be the next keeper of Narnia. But will she have the courage and strength to accept it? critical, with jokes and jokes, analysis of the reign of Caspian X, save, Salazar. Navigator. How good a king, and at the same time a sailor, was he? And was it even worth giving him a crown with a ship? Sixth part. In Car Paravala, Lucy from Orlandia itself is expected from day to day. This time, Queen the Valiant has a special reason to visit. Caspian and Susan's eldest daughter has reached debut age. On her 16th birthday, Princess Esmeralda will be officially introduced to the court as a potential bride. Taking advantage of the situation, Esme asked her beloved uncle Peter for a special gift that would cause a scandalous reaction from others. And he cannot refuse her. Thousands of years ago, the inhabitants of Telmar came to Narnia, and since then they have imagined themselves to be the rulers of this world. But in the 10th generation of kings, a prince was born, whose worldview was based on stories about bygone times, which his mentor told him. Finding support among the representatives of old Narnia and the returning kings and queens from the past, Prince Caspian X began to change the world. Father Christmas had once told her that battles were not for women. Fighting for Narnia 1,000 years later, Susan would not admit, even to her brothers, that she did not learn this at all from them. A full year has passed since the last time the King and Queen of Narnia visited. This was their last trip to this amazing and beautiful country. At least they thought so. Peter and Susan are already accustomed to the modern world and have long been accustomed to the idea that those wonderful creatures, the Narnians, they will never see again. But who told them that Narnia was forever closed from them? Evil awakens. Narnia needs her heroes again. This time in each of them.